financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, should I disinherit my child or my spouse? Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Should you or do you want to is a better question.
Jeffrey Linden, good morning.
Excellent morning to you, Ken.
Thank you. Pat Simasco, this is kind of a topic for you.
I am up to 10 different families that disinherited a kid
not legal.
because of politics. Straight up politics.
Over what period of time? 5
In the
to 6
last
years?
No, last year and a half, 2 years.
Wow.
In the last, about 2, probably a year and a half total.
I thought you were going to say you would move to Salt Lake City
So
with your 10
when that
families.
happens, and they come in and they tell you this is what they want to do you engage in the conversation with them of saying, are you sure you want to do this? Or do you just kind of defer?
No, well, it's not my point to do that. First of all, we have some big cases going on right now. Is mom mentally competent, right? Let's assume she is. Then the question is she being unduly influenced? Is someone getting her to change this estate
By like
plan?
the sibling who's on the same political side as she is?
Well, it's whatever. It's because of whatever reason, but it is not that. It is the normal, average age people. They have Thanksgiving dinner, they have Christmas, they have whatever. They come over and there's a big frickin' war, and it's all over what they saw on TV and politics, and next thing you know, they're sitting in front of me and they're saying, I want to cut that kid out. And a lot of times, it's not necessarily the daughter that has the political view, it's her husband that has the opposite.
And that's causing the friction.
Well, you can't be over, we're not going over anymore, so.
It's a big...
Wait, so disinheriting someone, let's just, concept is removing their ability to receive a benefit from the estate of their deceased parents or relatives,
Somebody, yeah.
period. And so a lot of things that I see in estate plans will include a no contest provision. I'm not giving you anything and you can't fight it, because if you fight it, you get nothing.
Well,
Isn't that completely useless?
No,
it is.
because what you do is you don't give them nothing.
Right. Well,
you give them...
No, hang on.
Some.
Stop. First of all, if they're competent, you don't even get into that point because they're competent. You're not contesting. As long as they're competent, mom has authority to leave whoever she wants to whoever she wants. When they say I got to leave them $1 or a smaller dollar amount, I don't do it that way, because if you leave them anything, they're beneficiaries. They're entitled to notice, right? You got to give them notice of things as time progresses. So you have to be making sure that, but the motivation is not up to us to decide what's the proper motivation. Right. What is scary for me is when they ask me, who did you vote for? Whose side of the fence?
You want to try and stay...
I never talk about that. If you're going to you have a family doctor and you got cancer, you're going to the cancer specialist. We look at ourselves as a cancer specialist in what we're doing. And if you're not going to go to that cancer specialist because he's a Democrat or he's a Republican, you're going to not get the service that you need. So for us, we have to be completely neutral.
You have to stay neutral. The biggest, in terms of the non-contest, is where it doesn't do you any good to leave someone $1 because they don't care about the dollar. But if you're going to leave them, let's say your estate's $1 million, and one child that you're disinheriting would normally get $333,000. If you leave the child $150,000 instead of $333,000, then the no contest clause becomes a
Something
bit of
to
a problem.
consider.
Because,
That's true.
because the
Right.
child has
Yeah.
to come in and claim undue influence, which is a weak claim if mom has all her faculties together. And her lawyer's going to say, you could file and claim undue influence, but you really can't prove it. And if you lose, you get nothing. Then the no contest clause
Yeah.
has some things. But you're right. The biggest problem, the thing that I get into some level of debate sometimes on Facebook
Don't.
with.
Wait, you get
is-
into debates on Facebook?
Yeah,
Never.
Oh, God.
But the one that I'm more focused on recent is the divide of the country upsets me probably more than anything else. And that we've never had. And that I think is one of the most evil things that is happening is this political divide that is it's kind of infiltrating the entire system, is putting families against
That's
each
the
other.
trouble.
And that's terrible.
You always had the fight with the drunk uncle, right, at Thanksgiving time. But now it's to the point where I can't stand you, I hate you, let's pack up your stuff, let's go. And what I try and talk to the parents about, okay, you don't want to leave anything to your daughter. Well, don't punish the grandkids. Leave her share to the grandkids then, right?
Yeah.
Keep it in that
Is
spot.
it receptive? Are they usually receptive to that?
Never. No, they
No?
want to cut everybody
No,
off.
because
Fruit
they're,
of the
they're, they're
poisonous
getting
tree.
influenced by mom and dad, and so
Well,
they think
They're
like
the
mom
fruit
and
of
Well,
the poisonous tree.
This
They're-
is what happens, though. This is the
Yeah.
real hard part.
Our old doctor.
You're not
Yeah.
allowed to call your grandma and grandpa. You're not allowed to go over there. Or
Right.
sometimes it's the grandma and grandpa that is the problem, and not the kids and the grandkids. So they use the grandkids as the
Weapon.
the weapon,
Yeah.
and that's what's really, really sad.
I had a client who would come in almost every month and want to cut out a daughter because she stubbed her toe or mowed the grass wrong, and then the next month she'd change her mind, come back in. The next month she'd come in, she's out, I want to be done. It was like, okay, how much money do you want to spend
Revising.
redrafting?
But
You know
but
what the
that
trouble-
actually, but you just brought up what I was going to actually say is when you do have that situation where they're coming in, you have to kind of say to them, listen, you may change your mind in a relatively short period of time, and you better remember if you change your mind that you need to call me and get in, and we need to undo what you're doing right now.
So-
You've got one where they change their mind every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just think of that kid had to put up with that their whole life, because mom hasn't just started that process.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the holding that out there.
Yeah. So when we come back from the break, because I see my man Dave here going with his fingers, I got something to bring up on that.
All right, we'll take a break, and we'll go back to Pat right after the break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Dad always asked that we look after Mom when he passed away.
I know, but she insisted on moving down to the Villages, and now she has that new boyfriend, and I am worried.
Maybe it's time to just call Samasco Law.
Take the stress out of your family's future. Reach out to Samasco Law and set a course through life's difficult times. Samasco Law, protecting what means most because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress.
Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
And so we're back. So you said you had something to say.
Yeah, so people say, well, I don't want to do a trust agreement, right? So I have all my kids listed as beneficiaries. I put my kids on the deed of the house. And if you have 50 different bank accounts and you have all the kids listed on 50 different bank accounts, and now you want to cut a kid out, you got to go and change 50 different bank, and you'll never do it. But then what Jeff says, a week later they want to change it back, you got to go back to the same 50. So when you have a trust agreement and you have everything dumping into the trust,
much easier.
It's easier. You want to change it today and change it back a week later.
Yeah, at least you're only making one change rather than 50.
Yeah, the deed on the house is a problem though, because it's switching with the people knowing the word ladybird deed, right? Ladybird deed. Everyone hears it. The old days, you put the kids on the house as joint owners. You can't unring that valve.
I have
You want to cut
a client
that kid out, you
who-
can't do it.
But ladybird's a solution.
I have a client who put his son and daughter on the house, joint tenants with full rights of survivorship.
Yeah.
And then he got to the point in his life where he needs to sell the house.
Yeah.
It's too big, too much for him. But he had a falling out with his son.
Yeah.
Right.
And his son said, no problem, I'll be happy to sign off on the deed. I want $150,000.
Yeah. And when you talk,
What
not
ultimately
you,
happened?
What? He kept the house.
yeah, which he got it afterwards then. He got the 150 and Dad's 150, everybody else's money, because after Dad died, that house goes right to that kid.
Well, it goes to him and his sister, and now the sister and him are fighting. And because you put it joint tenants with full rights of survivorship, a court cannot divide the property,
Right.
cannot force the sale of the property. So brother and sister that don't get along,
They're stuck together.
they're stuck
That
owning that
happens to the
property.
cottage up north all the time. Now the son's that living in there, he said, I'll take the master bedroom, and my kids are coming up with their drunk buddies and who broke the boat and all that stuff. And when you talk to the dad about it, hey, don't do the deed. Oh, it'll never happen to my kids.
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
never
they get along
happen to
great.
me.
Yeah.
They're not, they get along.
I mean, the
blah,
thing
blah,
that you,
blah.
I mean, first of all, we always see the problems as lawyers, so we're skewed that way. But if you just think about siblings in the ordinary course, siblings in a normal happy family grow up with rivalries and jealousies. And, I don't see too many families that are happy families where the siblings are just like, close as can be.
Right.
There's always issues.
So if you
and
have
then
those-
money comes in.
If you have those 5 kids on the lake house, and one kid does not want to sell, if it's joint tenants with full rights to survivor, which they all have that on there, if that one kid doesn't want to sell it, you can never force that kid to sell. It's not 4 against 1.
You got to cover it either
Right.
in a trust or put the property into an LLC and have a
Whatever
voting
it is.
operating agreement
Deeds
that covers
are
those
always the problems. Always, always, always the problems. Now, yet another question. Should I cut out my kids? And the next question, should I cut out my spouse?
things. That's where I was going.
If you're having an issue, dad's got cancer, mom's got dementia. It happens all the time where they got sick, mentally sick, and together they have a whole body, right? And that whole body, they can kind of get through the day so mom doesn't have to go to the nursing home, right? Dad's taking care of her and she's taking care of him. If dad dies, she's probably going to have to go to the nursing home because there's no one to take care of her at home. If dad dies and she inherits all the stuff, the nursing home, you won't get
Taking it, right.
Medicaid. And
So
there's
you definitely need a plan.
Did
plan
you hear
that.
the big monster law change in Medicaid?
No.
So back in the old days, we'll see how much you guys actually listen to me. How much can you have in the bank for if you're a single person on Medicaid?
$137,000.
$2,000.
Right,
Oh no, on Medicaid. Sorry.
If you're married, it's
$2,000.
$140,000.
So that started back in the 80s, right? $2,000. 45 years later, they do a massive overhaul.
3,000?
9,000.
Oh,
$9,660.
Yeah, but I thought if we do Medicaid planning, can't you protect for a single person
You
up
can.
to 130?
No,
that's married.
You got to protect
That's the
all.
spousal.
It's 155
Yeah.
now, but yeah,
155.
You need to look whatever planning options are single, married. But one of the big ones that people always lose: dad dies, it's going to mom. You got to go. Dad dies, it goes to a trust that protects it from mom. You disinherit. You have to disinherit.
Are you
the spouse.
disinheriting, or are you creating more of a special needs trust for
You have
mom?
to disinherit mom because special needs trusts don't work when dad.
And you need to do it through a trust vehicle anyway, because that's the only mechanism that you can disinherit the spouse.
We had a horrible case this week that we got dad on Medicaid and mom was just in a horrible car accident, passed away. So luckily we had everything set up that she died. Because if she dies, it goes back to her husband.
So now it's passed to the kids.
In a special type
So
of
he
a
can still
trust
keep his
for that.
Medicaid.
It's a special type of a trust that we use, not the typical.
So you
special
can't have
needs trust.
the potential Medicaid spouse be a beneficiary or a discretionary trust?
No.
So do you see
No.
funding for that level of Medicaid as an issue of concern relative to the cutbacks? Because they're talking about mega duck dollars have been cut out of Medicaid. Where are they cutting it out?
This is what I say. For my whole career as a lawyer, it's always saying, well, what about, are you worried about this, you're worried about it? The answer is, whatever the law is, we're going to have to just deal with it whenever the law is. Whatever the funding is, it is what it is. You just have to deal with it. So we don't get involved in that speculation because every time we think it's going to be this way, it's that way. And we just, the answer is, I'm going to be 100% accurate here. I don't have a freaking clue.
Yeah, because what's really difficult to assess is if you don't change the law, but you cut the funding, which means you're entitled to the benefit, but the money isn't there. How does that play out? That's something we really haven't experienced, and
Well,
an obligation is an obligation.
One thing I will absolutely tell you is everyone half of the people walk into my office as a hardcore conservative. Everybody walks out as a liberal.
From the standpoint that they want to qualify for
They
Medicaid.
want to get the government benefit.
Because they want to keep the money that they have.
Amen. They never admit it, though.
But that's what it always works out that way. Let's take a break. I want to come back to cutting out the spouse or limiting the spouse's rights.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You know, Dad made us promise we would never put him in a nursing home.
I know, but he found that new caregiver on the internet, and I'm getting worried.
Don't worry, honey. I know just how to take care of you.
I'm sure you do.
Maybe it's time to call Simasko Law.
You know, I've heard of them. All my friends on Facebook use them.
Take the stress out of your family's future. Reach out to Simasko Law and set a course through life's difficult times. Simasko Law, protecting what means most because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're back. So, Brian, you had a question.
So we know that in previous shows you've talked about being able to protect 100% of the assets for the non-nursing home-bound spouse. If you've got a single person, what's the maximum number you can protect? What can you protect for the single person that needs the nursing home?
Immediately, the house is protected in $9,000. So the idea is you do a spend down. You pay off the mortgage, you fix up the house, you give it to a disabled child. You can protect it all if you do it 5 years before.
So when you say a spend down, take the money that's there and put it into the house.
Into the house, pay off the mortgage on the car, fix up the house. Whatever's left over, we can protect half. The other half would have to go to the nursing home. It's called a half a loaf. We can always protect half of the money, whatever's left over.
So what's that number?
There is no number. If you got 100 grand, 50 grand's going to the nursing home, the other 50 grand is gifted. So you can give away half of the money as long as the other half goes to the nursing home.
But you have to do it in a specific way.
It's really complicated. Yeah, it's not, no offense to Brian, but it's a little above his pay grade right now.
Thanks, Pat.
You're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for that dearly, over time. Well, those are the kind of statements that never, ever go away.
Well, he's going to pay at least half of it.
Okay, Pat made that statement on Sunday, 10:45 a.m.
Yeah.
Brian's got it down pat. All right, so let's talk about different issues.
I think I need a raise.
Well, that's an interesting concept. When you talk about all these things going out in the real world is...
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
You think you need a raise because you were insulted?
No, because he said it was above my pay grade. I need to get my pay grade.
Needs a bigger pay grade.
Good point.
There you go. I agree.
We only have a few minutes. I want to hit on another topic, not Medicaid related. Let's say, okay, you are married, you're reasonably happy, and you have children.
Okay.
But you're looking at it and saying, if I get cancer and I die young, I want to make sure, I want my spouse protected, but I want to make sure that when she goes, the assets go to my children, not to
It's
her new husband's children.
It's the second marriage that this
Yes.
comes up every time, because if you have one marriage with the same kids, they all have the same motivation to leave it to the kids. When you have the second marriage,
Or the prospect of a second
well,
marriage
let's
occurring.
just stick with the second marriage
Okay.
because it's easy. I'm going to leave everything to my wife. My will says my wife gets it, my second wife gets it, but when she dies, it goes to my kids. The second you die, she gets it, and she changes beneficiary to her kids.
That's the thing
It
you gotta
happens
stop.
every single time. You cannot trust the spouse to do the right thing because they will cut your kids out.
So you shouldn't make that spouse the trustee.
You know it. Well, they normally make the spouse the beneficiary on their 401k. And when you talk to the financial advisor, it's, oh, listen, you got your wife here, but then you got your kids as
So
contingent.
he says they're protected.
Oh, you're
but they're
fine.
not.
You don't need that lawyer. You don't need that trust. You don't need to waste the money. They will cut your kids out every single time.
What's the solution?
You have to do it. This is a solution. You have to protect your kids, and there's a drop dead date that you have to protect them by, the day before you drop dead. Because once you die,
How do you
all
protect
bets
them
are-
on the 401k?
Then you don't name the wife as beneficiary of the 401k. You name the trust as beneficiary.
But then you have a tax issue, don't you?
Well, there's that 10-year payout, but I'd rather worry about
Yeah, but your
that.
401k in Michigan, your spouse is automatically the beneficiary of your 401k.
Not automatically. Your spouse has to sign off on any changes on a 401k.
Yes, if you want your spouse to not be, they have to sign off.
That can cause a little bit of friction.
Well, look, it's a long ride home from my office. When they come in, oh, great, we want to do this trust, blah, 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 we heard all about. And as a lawyer, you have to say, hey, I have a conflict. I'm representing two
Both of
different
you.
people with
Right.
competing interests. No, you're fine, Pat. And I say, and it's not always the husband with the issues. A lot of times it's the wife that's coming in with the big money. And she worked her whole life. She has a 401k. She has her whole.
Sure.
She killed her first husband.
Her husband might have died in a horrible car accident, and she got that money. And now she's marrying this new person. It's for love, but more it's for companionship, right?
Right.
So they're getting married because they want to travel together and they want to sit on the couch together. But if she dies, it goes to him. Is he going to stay single?
Right.
Who's he going to marry? The stripper.
Maybe the tennis pro.
Well, either one. But whatever it is, that person has lots
She's
of
going to marry
kids.
the tennis pro.
He
or-
marries the stripper. She marries the pool boy.
The bottom line is that there is a way through proper trust work to protect the money, to make sure it goes where you want it to go, whether it's your children,
Yep.
the Dog and Cat Foundation of America,
Whatever it is.
your spouse, whatever it is. If you do it through the proper trust work, you're going to protect it for your family,
Yep.
and it's not going to the new spouse's
That's
spouse.
exactly what happened to my parents. My grandfather died. My grandfather,
This is Rose.
my grandmother passed away. My grandfather remarried Rose.
There we go.
Rose got him to sign all of her CDs over to her because she was worried about what happens if he dies because he had cancer. She signs them over. 6 months later, Rose dies of cancer. All of
to
the
her
CDs
kids.
go to her kids.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.